Get ready for a true terrifying adventure through the dark web and haunting Home Alone stories. These scary, real tales, accompanied by the eerie ambiance of rain sounds, will be the ultimate fall horror stories. Stay tuned for a chilling journey that will have you hooked until the very end. Terrifying trespass. Picture this: a rural town in Michigan, a family visit, and an abandoned church shrouded in darkness. You might think you're in for some campfire tales, but what happened next is the stuff of true terrifying nightmares. Carter and I, just a couple of 19-year-olds, decided to check out an abandoned church near his family's place. We thought it would be just another adventure in our fall horror stories collection. Little did we know we were stepping into a real-life camping horror stories compilation. As we ventured closer, there was something unsettling about the place. Now, imagine a deserted church, an overgrown field, and the fading light of dusk. This is where our scary real adventure began. The eerie quiet of the place seemed to envelop us, but it wasn't long before we sensed something was amiss. In that dark corner, a figure sat motionless in a pew. It was a scene that could keep you up at night. We couldn't tell if it was real or just a well-placed mannequin. With a mix of curiosity and fear, we decided to explore further, but the building was boarded up and we couldn't enter. Still, we were determined. We checked other windows, and that's when we saw it. A man standing there, looking at us. We sprinted back, fear gripping us, but our ordeal was far from over. As we hid in a cornfield, we heard something. The sound of crops being brushed aside. We were trapped in a chilling game of hide and seek, stalked by an unknown presence. The next day, we returned with backup, and even Carter's dad, a tough guy, felt disturbed. We decided to alert the authorities, but when we glanced back at the church, we saw the figure again. Who was this person? What did they want? And why did they hide in that forsaken place? Our story is an experience that could haunt you home alone. Stalked in the night. On a quiet farm, on a chilly October evening, a spine-chilling encounter that would leave anyone haunting home alone. I live on a farm with my brother and his wife, but they were away, leaving me to keep watch. One night, while I was lazing in my chair, the crisp air flowing through the open windows, a true, terrifying scream shattered the silence. It was a scream that echoed through my bones, a desperate cry for help. I rushed for my rifle, not knowing what awaited me. I went outside, and the chilling breeze greeted me. The scream had come from the cornfield. I fired a warning shot into the air, but little did I know, it was only the beginning. What could it be? A damsel in distress? Or perhaps some teenagers playing a prank? I called the police, and they scoured the area with me. There was no one to be found. With every creak in my old house, I grew more uneasy. What had caused that blood-curdling scream? Little did I know, the terror had just begun. Hours later, as I lay in bed, I heard strange sounds from downstairs. I realized I had left the windows open. Panic set in as I heard footsteps in my home. Frantic, I called my brother, who was miles away. There was someone in my house. With a shotgun in hand, I went downstairs, only to encounter a tall, eerie figure at the bottom of the steps. But he didn't stop. He calmly walked away, vanished into the night, leaving me shaken. The police arrived, yet the story doesn't end here. In the light of day, I stumbled upon a woman's shoe in my field, rekindling the fear of the scary real events. I reported it to the police, but no missing person matched the description. A shiver runs down my spine when I think of that night. Who was that woman, and what horrors were unfolding in my quiet farm? Cornfield stranger. Picture this: a vacation home in the heart of Hollywood, South Carolina, where childhood memories were etched, but sometimes nostalgia has a way of turning into a haunting tale. When we were kids, my three brothers and I would escape to this 3-bedroom mobile home. It wasn't fancy, but it was home during the fall horror story season. On this particular day, the sun was still shining as we ventured off to play in the fields, the playground, and even that mysterious house overlooking the road. But that day, things took a sinister turn. We gathered to play hide-and-seek tag, and I, being the second oldest, was up next. I counted to 60 and set off to seek them in the fading daylight. What could go wrong? As I ventured towards the deserted house and shed, things seemed off. We had never seen anyone there before, It wasn't long before I realized that the game had taken an eerie turn. After a series of twists and turns, my youngest brother Todd and I found ourselves alone, hidden behind a shed. But something strange occurred. While we played, my other brothers chased each other down a hill, laughing and screaming. Yet, something didn't add up. The voice of someone near us laughed, and it wasn't the laughter of a child. It sounded like a deranged adult, and then I heard it. "Can I play with you?" The strange voice of a man half concealed in the crops. We knew it wasn't one of our brothers, and panic set in. From what I could make of his face, it seemed scarred and badly deformed. We left the game and ran back to our parents, frightened. Sharing our experience with our parents only added to the confusion. My dad was unsure how to react, and my mom made it clear that we were not to venture out past dark anymore. Sleep that night was elusive, as I couldn't help but wonder if that deformed face would appear outside one of the windows. I had no reason to make up the story, but my family was perturbed. Years later, my family decided to sell the property, and I couldn't have been happier. Sometimes, the scariest tales are the ones that come to life, like a nightmarish campfire story. What happened that night, lurking in the cornfield, still sends shivers down my spine.